Hello, hello. Welcome, my MACM family. Welcome again to our MACM Make a Culture Move podcast. Where here we cover everything from social topics to funny social trends. We are your hosts, Mark Jonathan.
Tabitha.
G.
And as always, we have a very good segment and podcast for you all today. But before we get started, can we have our disclaimer from Tabitha, please?
Yes, sir. So here at the MACM podcast, we cover a lot of controversial and very intense topics that do not represent MACM as a whole. So as we dive into our podcast, please disclaimer. Okay, so first up, we have G. What you got for us today, G? You're muted.
There we go. First thing I got for us to go over just real quick is some Black excellence for us. I've got 18-year-old young Black girl. She makes history in launching plant-based vaginal self-care products.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and hop into that and just go over that just real quick.
Okay, let me get there. Okay.
So yes, 18-year-old Black CEO makes history, launches plant-based vaginal self-care products for teen girls. This beautiful Black young lady here, y'all. See, her name is Essence Moore. 18-year-old genius entrepreneur who is redefining the way girls and young women interact with and understand self-care after recognizing an opening in the market for a vegan, chemical-free yoni care line exclusively for this demographic. She has debuted and a trailblazing yoni care brand called Kitty by Essence.
Okay.
Transforming the self-care regimes that have been traditionally taught, her Kitty brand delivers a range of vegan products that disrupt and provide all natural, organic healing and antibacterial effects. Essence says that her goal is to ensure that teens and young adults are using vaginal washes that are not harsh on their most intimate parts. So we can go out of it. I just wanted to share this, bring awareness to, some Black excellence that we have going on. It's very important that, our young girls learn at an early age how to properly take care of themselves in their private areas. So, there's a lot of products out there that are very unhealthy for, a female's private area. And it's very important that we are teaching our young women and young girls the proper and appropriate ways to take care of themselves. So, yeah, shout out to Essence for that because that's really dope. And it's vegan based, so it's all natural. There's like no chemicals, nothing. Like that's dope. It's really dope. Especially she's Black, she's young. So all types of excellence going on with that one. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see if no one has anything to comment on that. I am mainly talking about marijuana in the Black and brown community. So this first article we could hop in. The House passes the bill to decriminalize marijuana on a federal level. So yeah, we'll just hop into it because everything I'm gonna say is gonna be in the little article anyways.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Maybe not.
I don't know why, but it's like not okay. There we go. Slowly but surely loading for me. Okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read first and then we can watch a little bit of the video. Okay, the House on Friday passed a bill decriminalizing marijuana at the federal level, a sweeping measure that aims to reduce racial inequities in drug arrests. The measure, which will remove marijuana from the list of federally controlled substances and expunge federal convictions for nonviolent marijuana offenses, now goes to the Senate, where it is unlikely to pass. The House passed the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement More Act by a vote of 228 to 164. With 6 Democrats voting against it and 5 Republicans voting for it. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida was the only Republican to co-sponsor the bill, which had over 100 Democratic sponsors. This long overdue legislation would reverse the failed policy of criminalizing marijuana on the federal level and would take steps to address the heavy toll this policy has taken across the country, particularly for communities of color. House Judiciary Committee Chair Gerald Nadler, who introduced the bill, said in a statement after the MORE Act was passed. Mm-hmm. According to a report from the American Civil Liberties Union passed this year, Black Americans are 3.6 times more likely than white Americans to be arrested for marijuana despite similar usage rates. However, ACLU data also found that racial disparities remain in arrest in some states which have legalized or decriminalized marijuana. In a speech on the House floor ahead of the vote, Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries said that he hoped this measure would help decrease America's large incarcerated population. The United States incarcerates more people than any the United States incarcerates more people than any other country in the world. We have ruined lives, families, and communities. It's a stain on our democracy, Jeffrey said. Marijuana use is either socially acceptable behavior or it's criminal conduct, but it can't be socially accepted behavior in some neighborhoods and criminal conduct in other neighborhoods when the dividing line is race. However, while Democrats see decriminalization as an important criminal justice issue, most Senate Republicans seem unwilling to consider it. In a speech on the Senate floor on Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell questioned why House Democrats were voting on the bill on decriminalizing marijuana rather than focusing on coronavirus relief. The House of Representatives is spending this week on pressing issues like marijuana, serious and important legislation benefiting the national crisis, McConnell says sarcastically. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer urged McConnell to bring the legislation to a vote in the Senate, saying in a statement Friday that the House has taken a historic step towards finally ending the federal prohibition on marijuana. Today's bipartisan vote shows just how far that movement has come. I am encouraged by the action the House has taken, and I encourage my colleagues in the Senate to support these efforts as well, Schumer said. I think that's it on that. We'll scroll up to the video.
I have a feeling there's going to be like some type of ad.
It might be.
But yes.
If there is, we do not support it as always.
Yes, we do not.
BetMGM. Yeah, where every snap is showtime.
We do not advertise BET and MGM.
Right now, when you join BetMGM and bet $1, you get 100 to hit a touchdown this week. And the action doesn't stop there. Just fire under the BetMGM app.
But yes, y'all, I just know that the state has more power than the federal government. So yes, the government could criminalize it, but the state has to be criminalized.
The idea of legalizing its use, both recreationally and medically, has grown in the U.S. 2 weeks ago, 4 new states legalized recreational use of marijuana, bringing the total to 15 states. Medical marijuana use is allowed in 36 states. A Gallup poll released last week shows 68% of Americans favor legalizing it. That is double the rate from 2003. As the marijuana industry booms, Black and brown people who have been on the receiving end of legal troubles associated with it are being left out. That's the focus of a brand new documentary called Smoke, Marijuana, and Black America.
Music and marijuana go together real well.
When I got to the NBA, guys around me played their off and they use cannabis.
This is $1 trillion business. Less than 1% of the licenses right now go to African Americans and Latinos.
This is about legalizing it, but it's more than about that. It's about restorative justice.
They need to free everybody that's locked up for marijuana today.
Smoke, the blunt truth about marijuana and Black America. Wednesday, November 18th at 10 on BET.
And I'm joined now by former NFL player and cannabis advocate, Ricky Williams.
We could stop and Tabitha.
Great to have you with us.
Okay, so before I actually talk about one, I encourage everybody to watch the documentary, Smoking Marijuana. But before we actually talk about it, I want to get into this next video. And then we can talk about it. This next video is what happened at the Congress meeting before the bill was passed.
Okay.
The day the bill was passed.
Looking for dinner, matey? Okay. It's going through an ad, but I do want to say again, definitely see what your state legislators say. That's definitely important. So we're about to dive into this video.
And then you started at 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yes.
Around that. It could be a little bit after.
Okay. Okay.
Your tremendous leadership and bringing this bill to the floor. The Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, the MORE Act. And let me just thank Chairman Nadler and our fellow co-chair of the Cannabis Caucus, Congressman Earl Blumenauer, our respective staffs, and everyone for their effort, including the House Judiciary staff for your hard work and for helping to bring this bill together to the floor. Also, I have to call your attention to the advocates for their dedication and educating the public on this issue. This bill is an important racial justice measure. It's the product of years of work by so many activists and advocates and young people, and it's long overdue. Yes, I've worked to end the war on drugs for many years. The MORE Act includes my legislation, the Marijuana Justice Act, and the Refer Act, which is the first marijuana. These are the first marijuana racial justice bills introduced in Congress. This landmark legislation would end the federal prohibition and decriminalize cannabis nationwide by removing it from the list of controlled substances, which is a major step, mind you, a major step toward ending the unjust war on drugs and racial inequities which are central to these laws. This bill will facilitate expungement of low-level federal cannabis convictions, create pathways for lucrative legal cannabis business ownership and opportunities for communities of color, and provide critical resources for those most devastated by the war on drugs for restorative justice to repair this damage. I'd like to just mention and ask for unanimous consent to insert into the record a statement by the chair of our Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Richard Neal, and I'd like to just read a portion of his statement as it relates to a Ways and Means tax issue, which Mr. Blumenauer is going to discuss a little further.
Without objection.
Mr. Neal has addressed an issue that came to our attention as an exclusion in this measure and made a commitment, and he says that he looks forward to continuing to work with the measure's sponsors and other committees of jurisdictions to achieve an effective tax regime that supports a vibrant legal market and provides individuals most affected by this war on drugs the opportunity to fulfill and fully participate in this emerging economy. Make no mistake, and I want to thank the chair of the Ways and Means Committee for agreeing to help us fix several provisions of this important bill. But make no mistake, this is a major racial justice bill. According to the ACLU, Black Americans are nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis-related crimes than white Americans. May I have an additional 30 seconds?
Yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you very much, Venture. Black and brown people are targeted more frequently than white Americans despite equal rates of use. Additionally, prison sentences for Black and brown people are more likely to be lengthier than white people. Black men receive sentences over 13% longer than white men, and nearly 80% of people in federal prisons for drug offenses are Black or Latino. And so it's time to end these unjust laws which shatter the lives of so many young people of color. I tell you, we have got to, colleagues, we have got to give our young people a second chance. So please vote yes on this bill to help us move our unfinished business of liberty and justice for all forward. We have got to begin to really provide racial justice, crack these chains of systemic racism in this mass incarceration judicial system. So thank you again very much, Madam Chair. I urge an aye vote.
General.
Okay. So, in the process, we are waiting for the bill, waiting for Senate to make their decision on what's going to happen with the bill. But personally, I am 100 for the bill. One, marijuana has become more popular in today's time than it's ever been. Ever. Marijuana is so popular now, today, in today's time right now. Speaking in Colorado, dispensaries are popping up like McDonald's and 7-Elevens. You can find a dispensary anywhere. Then there's other states where it's legal. And yet we have people, Black and brown people, who are in jail serving years on years. Some are serving life sentences for non-violent marijuana offenses. And yet it's being prescribed to people for medical reasons. It's being bought, recreationally or medically, however it's, being used. There's states that have legalized it across the board. There's states who have decriminalized it. And I honestly believe it will give a lot of first of all, it'll decrease incarceration rates by a ton. And then it just gives those Black and brown people a second chance at life. Marijuana is just imagine how somebody is feeling right now sitting behind bars. Imagine how they felt when marijuana was first legalized in the state that they're in, that they're sitting in their prime for. That shit sucks. That shit sucks to know that they was probably out slanging weed to make a living for their families because that's the life that they were introduced to. That's the life that they were born into. That's the life that they knew. And now they're serving time in jail for something that is not only acceptable and popular, but legal in some states now. And for it to still be looked at on a federal level, it's not right and it's not fair, and it directly impacts the Black and brown community directly. So white people smoke weed too, right? White people smoke weed too, but they don't get the time that we get for possessing it or dealing it or any of that, and it's not right. It's not fair. I am 110% for the legalization of decriminalizing marijuana, period. And that's how I feel about it.
I will say that. Oh, well, Mark, you can go ahead because I'm going to have an opposing view, and I think I should say mine.
All right. I like G. I agree on this. if you take the case of Bernard Norman, I believe, or Noble, he's serving 13 years in prison just for 2 joints worth of marijuana. And they denied his pension because he hasn't served 10 years yet. So that in itself is just, that's crazy. But there's reports of the NBA looking to not scan anymore for THC, which is marijuana, if you guys didn't know. That in itself, NBA player, there's a whole lot of NBA players that try to, self-medicate that way. And there's a lot of NBA players that's been hit with crazy fines in marijuana, like Matt Barnes specifically has stated, like he's lost like 6 figures to the NBA just for getting scanned for that. So I think just the overall legalization, like G said, all the people sitting in jail, hopefully there's or sitting in prison, hopefully that bill gets them like freed if they've already served a ridiculous amount of time, or like reduced at the very least. Yeah, I mean, that being said, G pretty much said everything else. I mean, there's a whole bunch of crazy sentences for marijuana, just like Bernard Noble. But yeah, and Bernard Noble was the father of 7. So it's like you taking, that's a big hit on a family just for 2 joints, 13 years. 13 years. All your kids that's 5, you ain't gonna see until they're 18. That's the football seasons, graduations, all of that.
Birthdays, holidays, whatever.
Nuts. That's nuts. 13 years is ridiculous. I know sex offenders serving less than 13 years. And this is 2 joints. 2 joints. That's probably 30 minutes of your time. 2 joints. 13 years. But that's it. I'm saying that's all I gotta say.
I will say this. Like, I am definitely for, keeping as many of our brothers and sisters out of prison and or jail as possible. But as far as like commending, or like, not saying that the government's been commended for like decriminalizing marijuana or other drugs altogether, because they're trying to decriminalize shrooms and crack and all this other stuff. And it's crazy because the government is one of the biggest drug dealers, aka gangsters, that there are. They're the ones that export and import drugs from Mexico. They're the ones that ship drugs out to all these different countries to get other Black and brown people addicted to drugs. And like the lady said in the video, it's $1 trillion industry. So at the end of the day, there's a monetary incentive, a money incentive to legalize marijuana. Think about how the state of Colorado, if you look at how much money has been made solely based off of marijuana, that's why the economy in Colorado is booming and doing better than a lot of other states. I just went back to Arizona, where I'm from, and marijuana was legal medically for years, but that still, like, there was a financial incentive for that because you had to pay to get your medical card. So now it's legal recreationally, and now the economy's growing even more. COVID-19 has really hit the economy super duper hard, and a lot of businesses in the States and stuff are not doing as well as they would do. It's like your last resort. Let's say you struggling. In the hood, everybody knows if you can't get a job, what you're gonna do? You're gonna sell drugs. You're gonna do whatever possible to make an income for your family. This country's doing horrible right now. So it's kind of like, okay, so now I gotta sell drugs in order to sustain this country. And I'm all for the United States crumbling apart, because at the end of the day, they need to see what it's like to be truly impoverished after they've made millions, trillions of dollars by having free labor from slaves. Yes, they deserve to go through it. And if we got to go through it with them, it is what it is. We're stuck here. So that's just me. I'm going to take it to the extreme level, because I feel like it's never them doing it. They're saying like, yes, it's to benefit the Black community because we've done mass incarceration on these people and they've been enslaved for hundreds of years and so on and so forth, because we're proportionally affected by the law. But like at the end of the day, though, there is a reason for every season. There's a reason why they're doing this. It's not because they're trying to benefit Black people at all. That's just a cover up. And they have a Black woman as the face of saying it. But at the end of the day, if you look at the government as a whole, there's like 2 or 3 Black people, maybe 5 in the whole system. And they use Black people as the face to say, yes, we're trying to benefit Black people. But at the end of the day, it's never to benefit Black people. Because for me personally, when I did smoke weed, to get off of weed, I literally went through withdrawals. Weed is a drug. And that's the truth. It's hard to get off of it. People be like, I could stop anytime. Well, then stop. And see what happens. It's gonna be hard. It was hard for me to sleep. I was sweating. It's just like drawing off of any other drug.
That's personal. I believe that weed is a medicine and it affects you just how any medicine affects you. You either have positive symptoms or negative symptoms. So you're either going to react good or you're either going to react bad, just like any medicine that any doctor is going to prescribe to you. You have to know what is for you. You have to know what your body likes, what you can take and what you cannot take. Weed is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Weed is not for everybody at all. Some people can't. Some people don't. It affects their body, it affects their mind, it affects them in a way where it's not for them. They can't handle it. They can't deal with it. It makes them paranoid, it makes them nervous, all types of things. It's not for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's a medicine. What are medicines? Drugs. When the doctor prescribes to you any form of antibiotic or anything that is prescribed in a pill, in a liquid, however they want to give it to you, it is a drug. So it depends on how you look at it and how you feel about it. But if you take any form of medicine, ibuprofen, Tylenol, cough medicine, cough syrup, cough drops, all of that is drugs. And everything affects every individual differently. So you have to know. So and that is, it depends on you and your willpower and you. And if you know yourself, if you smoke weed and you always get paranoid and you can't think straight and you still can't handle business and get work done and live life efficiently, weed is not for you. Weed is not for you. If you can't be in a social environment with lots of people and still be okay, weed is not for you. If you can't function, then weed is not for you. But you have to know yourself. You can't just be smoking weed because everybody else around you is smoking weed and it's the new cool thing to do. You have to know why you're smoking. Why do you smoke weed? Why is that your drug? Why is that your medicine? Why is that your fix? It's not for everybody, but no medicine is for everybody. There's people who are allergic to weed and shouldn't be smoking it, just like any other medicine or drug that a doctor will prescribe to you for anything else. Period.
Yeah. I said all that to say that's my own personal opinion. I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to talk about the benefits or the non-benefits of it. I just know that it's just not just scientifically speaking, the effects of smoking weed. And that's a whole nother thing though. But to kind of segue into the next piece so that we don't run over time today. Mark, what do you have for us today?
All right. So just to kick my segment off, I got some just craziness. So if you guys didn't know, a week or two ago, Logan Paul knocked out Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson, Black, former NBA player. I was rooting for him, but I didn't bet on him, fortunately. He got knocked out. And it kind of looked bad. Obviously this generation made it a meme. And basically, it was their idea of them winning against culture versus culture, the Black culture versus the white culture. They said apparently Logan knocked out Nate and then, they got the W over that apparently. But now I guess Floyd Mayweather is coming out of retirement. If y'all didn't know, Floyd is 51-0.
Okay.
Legend.
I don't even know people who would like argue he ain't the best pound for pound.
Legend.
Bro.
Legend.
And
The
like
ultimate goal.
his title fights. But like, yeah, so I guess he's coming out of retirement to take our culture back. And this should be interesting. You know, the people that's betting is going crazy. I don't even see no point. I'm going Mayweather all the way. But yeah, this is just some craziness. I wanted to know how y'all felt about this.
Did you want me to share the article?
Oh, I mean, you can. I pretty much talked about it. Yeah, you can go ahead, please, so they can see.
Okay. Because when I seen that this was a white dude, I was just like, wow.
But did you see him knock out Nate Robinson? Or
I did.
it's crazy. They had a whole meme out of the dude, and it's crazy. Like within minutes, not even that. Like
Second round.
man.
Second round.
I don't know why, but this thing is like not. Okay.
Please bear with us any technical difficulties we have.
Oh, that's him right there.
Yeah, so that's on the left. That's not Connor, or that's not Logan Paul though. What were you saying, Tabitha?
Oh, I was gonna say he reminds me of that one dude. Oh, that is him. Actually, he got a haircut.
Okay. That Conor McGregor dude.
Yeah, Conor McGregor.
But yeah, Logan Paul is originally a YouTuber, like that type of entertainer. I'm sure, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think
the fight was my first time ever hearing of him.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he got that type of platform. And I know he originally bought KSI, which is another streamer, YouTuber, whatever. And then now he knocked out Nate Robinson. So like he's just on a terror on our people. Like it's not good. I'm not gonna lie. But hopefully Floyd Mayweather can go ahead and I'm not even entertaining. He's not taking my culture until he beat me up. Shoot, I'm not gonna lie. But with that being said, we can segue into the next topic if nobody else has anything.
Just I don't know. The fight, as the commentator said, you don't play boxing. It's a lifestyle. It is literally a lifestyle. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's not baseball. It's not golf. You don't play boxing. You live boxing. And I think Nate Robinson went in thinking, it's another sport that I'm about to play. Like, nah, bruh. Nah, it's a whole lifestyle you got to pick up when you enter the boxing ring. So, I don't know. I just think he was out of his element. And if it's something that he wants to do, I'm sure he could do it, but he just needs to realize that it's a lifestyle. You don't play boxing. You do not play boxing.
I agree. It is a lifestyle because, see, my stepdad was a boxer. He boxed. I don't want to say professionally, but he boxed around Phoenix, in small matches and stuff like that. And the thing is, he taught me and my sister how to fight, but he had us fighting each other. He was like, look, whenever stuff goes left and you guys just cannot talk it out, you guys can box it out. And we used to put on gloves and fight dudes on the block. And everybody would be lining up down the street of our house to fight my sisters. They didn't want to fight me. I wasn't the one for that. But my sisters definitely were the boxers. And they were little. So they were just tearing up all the little boys on the street. It was crazy. But yeah.
Facts. But not yet. Just as far as that fight, Mayweather 51-0, all you need to say. But with that, we can go ahead and segue. And if you could pull up that first YouTube video, please.
Yes, sir. Give me one.
Awesome. And as you guys, if you are a constant follower, you know that we've brought up segments from the NFL and what they're doing with the say their stories. And say their story is where they take a situation where there was police injustice and then they basically put it on the NFL's platform. So, just to give it exposure that it wouldn't normally have because it falls under the cracks of so many or just people just not really paying attention to it. But yeah, if we could get into it.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay.
Into this, I think one of the biggest things that we could pay attention to is he said that his defense didn't even properly defend him, didn't call any witnesses to his defense, and he had witnesses that could provide actual testimonies that were airtight and that basically would save him from being in prison today. But if you could bring up the second article and we can probably talk as we're doing that. I don't really know how y'all feel about that.
There's way too many. That's gross. There's way too many black and brown people in jail for crimes that they did not commit. Way too many. It's coming from having public defenders who have 100 cases that they're barely looking at yours or barely reviewing yours and getting all the full details and facts to properly defend you, in cases like that. I don't know, but from what it sounds like, they probably didn't have money for a lawyer, so he had a public defender.
Mm-hmm.
And the public defender didn't properly evaluate his case to properly defend him in that. So, yeah, we just have way too many black and brown people in jail for crimes that they did not commit. And it sucks because you think about cases like the exonerated 5 and you just think about what goes on in a prison system. And just imagine being innocent in a prison system. You committed no crime. You've never committed a crime, any crime ever. You've only ever done right. And because of the color of your skin, you've been convicted of something. And the shit sucks. The shit sucks. It's like nothing positive happens behind bars for anybody that's behind them. And at 19, as a baby, as a young man, I can only imagine the pain that he's endured during this, and it's not fair. It's not fair, and he's one case of many.
Exactly.
You didn't have a second video or third one.
It should be right under. I'm looking at it right under the YouTube video.
Yeah, I see it too.
Oh, okay. I see it. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. And this article that Tabitha's pulling up just gets into a little bit more detail of, what he got convicted for, and just a little bit of how his case went. So, who is Julius Jones? You can just scroll down. I'll just read the article.
Mm-hmm. Whatever is just not loading. There we go.
Wow.
So
He's 40. He is 40 years old.
So the 40-year-old prison. I'm gonna read off my screen. Okay, so wait. All right, so the 40-year-old prisoner was sentenced to death in 2002, but his case has found renewed interest thanks to the support of lawyer in training, Kim Kardashian West. But who exactly is Jones? What are the details of his murder case? Hey, I appreciate the exposure. So Julius Jones was a 19-year-old student at the University of Oklahoma when he was considered as the prime suspect in the killing of 45-year-old businessman Paul Heaux. So, he was on the verge of gaining a basketball scholarship when he was arrested and charged with Heaux's murder in August 1999, according to OU Daily. So it's just before we read further into this, it's crazy to think like this man was robbed of his whole future. Like, like man, from getting a scholarship to potentially playing professionally, like he went from potentially getting his family out of any potential situations that they were in to being in prison for now he's 40 years old. Like, this is just crazy. But okay, so in 2002, he was convicted of first degree murder and sentenced to death at 22 years old. First time felon. And he didn't even do it. Like, this is crazy. But okay, the black inmate has spent more than 20 years proclaiming his innocence. And the Change.org petition claims he spent 23 hours a day in solitary confinement as he awaits his fate. Every minute to take action, Julius is suffering, the petition says. Every second that goes by, Julius closer to being executed for a crime he did not commit. This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. This is crazy. That's pretty much the article. We encourage you guys to, look through that as you want to. But yeah, what I pretty much said how I feel about it. This man was robbed. What y'all think?
He was definitely robbed of his entire life, of his entire identity. When shit like that happens, it changes who you are as a person, either for the better because you don't want anybody else to go through that, or everything that you're going through makes you worse, because it's like, how do you cope with that? How do you cope with being sentenced to death row and spending the rest of your life in a prison for a crime that you did not commit? And then not only that, but you have to survive prison, right? Because prison is all about survival.
That's a world inside a world.
Yeah, I mean. Exactly. So if he wasn't a violent type before, he probably became one, because you have to protect yourself and defend yourself when you go to prison. You don't have that choice to not protect yourself and defend yourself. If he wasn't a gang member before, he probably is now, because when you go to prison, you have to join some type of gang so that you have that family of protection while you're in jail to keep you safe while you're there. If you're black, you're automatically a part of the black game. Whites are a part of the white game. Mexicans are part of the Mexican game. Asians are part of the Asian game. Depending on what type of black, Mexican, white, Asian you are, those gangs are separated amongst each other. So, like, you have to survive. You have to become violent. You have to become a gang member. In some cases, you have to become a murderer. It's crazy to think that so many black people go to jail for crimes that they have not committed, for crimes that they're not even capable of committing. Right? Crimes they're not even capable of committing, then have to go to prison and become that person because they have no other choice. They have to survive. You have to survive when you go to prison. There's no other option. You survive or you die. Right? So it's just not fair. And definitely justice for Julius Jones. It's not right. It's a fucked up thing. It's like, the government the system is rigged against us. In every single way possible. And it just sucks, because imagine where he would be right now in life if this hasn't happened to him. He was 19. This man is 40 years old, been in jail for a crime he didn't commit.
Because of worse. If Kim Kardashian never exposed this, like,
would we know about it? Would we have heard about it?
We would have never even. He'd probably still be serving out his sentence just to be executed for a crime he didn't commit. But Tabitha,
I don't have anything to say. It's crazy. It just reminds me of that When They See Us movie, and that was based also on a true story, blaming black people for something that they didn't do. It's just like when something happens, it kind of goes into, I don't know if you guys ever seen Rosewood, but like this white woman was having an affair with someone else, another white man, but she said that somebody raped her, and she said that it was a nigger. From there, like, all these black people ended up dying. We were guilty before we even were born. We're born guilty simply because of the way that we look and who we are. And that's just how it is. Our complexion is our guilty label. So
Exactly.
it is what it is. The system and the way that this world has been framed is not for people of color, and that's why we got to get ourselves right so that we could get out of this oppressive system. Because until we get ourselves right, ain't nothing gonna change, and that's a fact.
Facts. But yes, with that being said, cite our names. Justice for Julius Jones. We sorry this fell through the cracks. I mean, I don't even know what to say. But yeah, with that being said, we can segue into yours, Tabitha.
I'm not gonna share the whole thing. I'm just gonna share one thing because for time's sake. So it's just one small thing that I want to talk about. I'll save the next one for next time. But Candace Owens was called a nappy asshole by Miley Cyrus's little sister, and her sister made claims that this was not something that she didn't know that nappy was a racial slur, so to speak. She didn't know the context of the word before she typed it on Instagram. So she was just like, she kind of just did it out of like senselessness. And so I just thought that was funny. That Miley Cyrus and them, they're from Tennessee, so that they have a little bit of country, racist, the way that they are, basically. So I'll go to the. Let me close this out. Okay, so Noah Cyrus is facing backlash for using a racist term to defend Harry Styles in his Vogue cover. Harry Styles wore a dress on his Vogue cover. Now then she kind of went back and made a public statement, aka an apology, and said, I am mortified that I used the term without knowing the context and history. That's not true. She knew the context and she knew the history. But earlier this week, the singer took to Instagram to defend Harry Styles for rocking a dress in his badass Vogue cover last month. Okay.
He wore a dress.
He wore a dress. That's a dress, like a woman's dress.
Is he straight or heterosexual?
He is heterosexual. But see, he's wearing a dress here, and he's wearing a dress here.
That's the dress he was wearing?
That was the dress that he was wearing on Vogue. Anyway, so she in her own Instagram post, Noah wrote, "He wore this dress better than any of you nappy ass hoes." And I just, wow. I don't know.
I like how Heaux is spelled. It's different.
Naturally, her racist comment was met with backlash. Noah Cyrus called Candace Owens a nappy-headed hoe and thought we was gonna laugh. Nobody was gonna laugh at that. I don't buy her shoes, so on and so forth. This is her. It's crazy how, like, even in this picture, like, you could tell, like, she's a culture vulture. She looks at
right.
Black women do that are trending, and then she uses it for her own benefit, using white privilege to try to make it a social or a trend in general. Here she is smoking I would assume that's a backwood. She's smoking a backwood. She has long fingernails, the way that most, I would say Cardi B and,
it's culturally Black.
Culturally,
the nails is culturally Black.
The head wrap,
the lipstick. She did something to make her lips look fuller and bigger than what they naturally are, which is cultural appropriation. Because bitch, your lips is not that big. We know that, and your top lip is not functioning with your bottom.
Thin as the wind, basically.
They like.
However, her apologies was not accepted. No Cyrus excuse/apology is not accepted by me. Out of all the insults you could have said, you chose Nappy. You said it about black women at that. So I don't think that she said it just specifically, there was, of course, there's racial context behind it. By no means, I'm going to stop sharing it because that's basically all I wanted out of that, because she's supposedly like a public figure, a celebrity. But the thing that gets me is I don't even like Candace Owens. I don't like Candace Owens at all. She's one.
She's a nappy head hoe.
You could
but I could say that.
You could tell whose side somebody is on based on who that person is married to. She's married to a white man, and she's always attacking black people. When somebody gets shot down by the police, guess who has something negative to say about the black person that got shot down? Candace Owens. Candace Owens. So at the end of the day, no, I don't support Candace Owens at all. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let somebody that doesn't look like us, that doesn't come from our community, that doesn't have melanated skin, to talk about her being a nappy headed hoe or a nappy ass hoe or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And the statement that Candace Owens made, I wish I would have found it. But she didn't even say anything wrong. She just says that she loves manly men. I don't even think she tagged the picture.
I mean,
I could say Candace Owens is a nappy headed hoe. Now, what's the sister's name? The Cyrus sister. The Cyrus sister. You can't say that. You have no birthright to use that type of dialogue or lingo at all. And to say that she didn't know the historical meaning behind the word before is complete bullshit. It is like full on bull. Like I don't know. And honestly, I don't know. But Cyrus' sister, I'm going to speak for the entire Black community here. I usually don't do this, but I am going to right now speak for the entire Black community that no, we do not accept your apology at all. Not any parts of it whatsoever. Because you were wrong and you were wrong. And the only reason you apologize is because you got caught for being wrong, but you're not really sorry, and you feel that way. You truly feel that way. So I don't know. It just kills me how white celebrities pretend that they don't know the racial barriers and the bylines, the boundaries. Like you can't pretend that you don't know, because you do.
Right, and I do want to read this tweet that Candace Owens said, and correct me if I'm wrong. She didn't say anything that was like, that was wrong. She said, "There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this, in the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men." So was there something wrong with what she said? She said, "Bring manly men back." I don't think a man should be wearing a dress.
I don't think a man should be wearing a dress, especially if he's not homosexual. If you are heterosexual and you identify as straight, and you as a man like women, you're attracted to women, that's your sexual preference, you should not be wearing a dress. You shouldn't. That's one thing if you were a homosexual man.
But like, man, if that dress was all white, like it would look like a wedding gown. That's why I'm just like what is going on? But like, even past that, so like the problem they have is they said Nappy was a racial slur.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy to me, because like y'all know, like for an example, like Kiss Kiss with T-Pain and Chris Brown, right? The whole Nappy Boy and Pretty Boy. You feel me? Like I identify like Nappy Boy as something not necessarily like not, you have to get what I'm trying to say, like not necessarily like a negative like connotation per se. I get her saying it could be like, oh, like okay, that's a little weird, but like
think of it as of like, you know, how
it's how she said it.
As how you say it, and how, you know, Black people feel possessive over the word nigga, you know, like that's our word. Nappy is ours, you know. Black people, depending on the stage of your hair, I'm not even say texture, depending on the stage of your hair, what stage you're in, because Black people's textures range. Every Black person has many different textures to their hair depending on the stage they're in or whatever products they use, whatever. Their natural oils, all of that. Nappy belongs to us. I can say nappy boy or nappy girl, you know, because that's in us. That's our natural abilities with our hair. But white people, their hair gets tangled. They don't know what nappy is. They can't say that they've experienced nappy or naps or B2Bs in the back of their head. You feel me? So that's kind of how nappy is associated with being, you know, a racial slur, or that's how it incorporates, because I mean it belongs to us. White people can't have nappy hair.
Hey, there's an artist the name is Nappy Root. So it kind of goes into like, I think she meant it in an insulting way rather than just
absolutely
nappy. Because if nappy can only be said by Black people, then the band Nappy Roots, you can't even call the band Nappy Roots. You gotta just say Roots, and people gonna be like, who the hell are you talking about? And she's gonna be like, in Roots, and she's gonna be like, oh, nigga Roots? No, in Roots, Nappy Roots. So I think it does. And it's to a certain extent, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying nappy, but I do think it's wrong when you are addressing somebody else's hair texture and it's not your own. I could say my hair is nappy. I could say right now, my hair is matted up underneath this head wrap, and my hair is nappy. I could say that. But if somebody said, if a white woman came up to me and said, "What's that hair looking like under that head wrap, sis? Is it nappy?" I'd be like, what?
It's offensive,
right? So
it's offensive. You know, they don't have that territory to say it. That's not in their byline. Like y'all can't. And I don't know, to pretend like, I don't know. I know she definitely meant it as an insult. To say she didn't know the racial barrier, I feel like is bullshit. To say she didn't care about the racial barrier,
that would have been more real.
That's more real, you know. That's more real to say that she didn't care about the racial. And then with it being with Owens, Candace Owens, if her statement was, you know, I don't care about the racial barriers because it's Candace Owens, we you know, the Black community, we don't even accept Candace Owens as a part of us. You know, we've kicked her out of the coalition
all the time.
Yeah, we've kicked her out of the coalition. So
look at this man in this dress, though. I would be talking on it too.
Bring back manly men. Why are you wearing a dress if you claim to be heterosexual and you are attracted to women? Like me as a woman, I don't want my straight man wearing no dress. And that's me as a woman. I don't want my straight man wearing a dress.
Right. We have not 2 hours.
But that's time.
2:00. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Can you close this out, Mark?
Yes, indeed. So, like my coworker said, it's about that time. So we started off with G segment with some Black excellence. We had our CEO, where plant-based vaginal self-care, definitely important. Take care of yourselves, ladies. The marijuana in Black and brown communities, you know, there's a bill being passed. Hopefully that has a great effect on some of the people who have been imprisoned. Where hopefully that they just get freed altogether, but reduced at the very least, reduced sentences. Then we had the craziness with Floyd's and Logan Paul. You know, not to entertain him, but, you know, Floyd's gonna definitely win that, you know, win our back, I guess, per se. Then we had the NFL segment of Say Their Names. We encourage y'all to look out for those too, because they're very good with using their platform for these cases. Julius Jones, you know, definitely be on the lookout for more cases like this, because clearly They falling through the cracks. I'm sorry. Candace Owens, and then we had that Candace Owens Nappy comment. If you're not our culture, just don't use our terminology at the end of the day. And with that being said, that will conclude our podcast. Hopefully you all got signed up for this week's workshop. And if you didn't, please sign up for the following week. We have our following week for 14 through 26-year-olds. Gonna be the same lessons, same time. Follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And with that being said, not Twitter. Do we have a Twitter? Okay, not Twitter. We don't. Not yet. But with that being said, follow us on YouTube, and we out of there. Y'all knock them out there.
Y'all knock them out there.